Hey everybody, welcome to Hot Topics. This week we are introducing Hot Topics, so we're actually going to be talking about place value, which we will be talking about in unit of study just quite soon, but we want to talk about Hot Topics because we're going to touch on some place value stuff you did in third grade. We're going to talk about writing a number in expanded form and word form. And so that's all going to be happening during your rotation this week. Now, I know you've had rotations in the past, but I want to show you how we do rotations fourth grade style. So right when you click on a rotation and you get into the assignment, you're going to see that very nicely the assignment is laid out for you, and it's very linear, meaning it goes in one direction. So first, part one is the very first thing you do. So part one is usually going to be an instruction video, and it's going to tell you what you're going to do in the assignment, maybe give you a refresher of the skills. If it's unit of study, a lot of the times it will be teaching you what you're doing. Same with fluency. It's going to be teaching you about a strategy in fluency, so you really have to watch this first video. Now that's the video you're watching right now. So it's not posted yet in this assignment because I'm making it. Isn't that kind of weird? But you're going to watch the first video, and it's going to teach you, if you're working on multiplying two-digit numbers by two-digit numbers. Then the first video is going to tell you refresh your memory, how to multiply two-digit by two-digit numbers. And then it's going to tell you, okay, here is what the assignment's going to be. So always watch the first video. So always watch part one. Once you're done with part one, you're going to go down to part two. And part two will be a video, and then if it's a physical activity in the instructions, the teacher will say, go ahead and get this and get started when you're done with the video. So you can see that this one, part two, it does not have anything after it other than part three, so you're going to have to go get something physical. Now pay attention to the video because it's going to tell you whether or not you should turn it in. And you may be wondering, oh, well, what do I turn in, what do I not? Make sure you're watching the video for those instructions. So in a typical week, you're going to watch part one, part two, and then there will be a part three almost always. And sometimes it'll be digital, sometimes it won't be. This next part three, I have two videos, but this is a digital activity. And you know that because there's a link here. It says click here to get started on this activity. So this activity is actually digital, meaning you're not going to have the paper and pencil. You might have to go get something, but the submission is going to be on Canvas, and you're going to be putting something in your Google Drive. So making sure that you've got everything organized in your Google Drive is key to being successful on a digital activity. That way you can always come back to it. You're not making 1,000 copies and starting over every time. So not very often will there be a part 4, a part 5, or sometimes even a part 6. Not very often will that happen. This week happens to be one of those because you're only doing Hot Topics and Dreambox so far. You'll be starting fluency soon. So you're just going to go down in order. When you watch the part 1 video, then you move on to the part 2 video, and then the part 3 video, and watch the video, do the activity. Listen carefully here, because this is the one and only week that this is different. Okay? The order that we're doing this is different. You and your whole class are probably going to be doing this rotation at the same time. Okay? So right now, all of you are watching part 1. If everyone goes on to part 2, roll it, make it, expand it, there are not going to be enough dice for the whole class to work on it at once. So we've run into a problem, right? We have to problem solve. So in order to get this to work, after part 1, you don't have to go to part 2. You can go to any of these activities here and work on this rotation in any order that you want. So if you want to do part 4 next after this, because you know there's not going to be enough dice, okay, then you can go on to part 4. Now there's only 9 sets of the cards for part 4, so not everyone can do that either. You're going to get some choice. Your goal by the end of the week is to have all 5 parts done. So 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all activities. And you're going to want to make sure that you have all of those completed by the end of the week. So remember, we've talked about our math behaviors. Manage your time wisely. If you're on part 4, don't spend 2 rotations, 2 days on those cards. Okay. In the video I talk about, you can do it once, move on to another rotation, and then if you need more things to do, you can come back to this rotation and do it again, because you can do the task cards again. So you can do this in any order. It is your choice. Because if we don't make it your choice, we're not going to have enough stuff to make everyone happy at the same time. So this week in this thing only, this does not apply to fluency, this does not apply to unit of study. This is just this week. You're going to finish this video and then choose any of the other parts to work on. You just have to get them all done this week, all right? That's what you're promising me, is that you're going to get them all finished this week, but I'm not telling you the order that you have to do them in. I know it's labeled part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't necessarily have to do them in that order this week only. Okay, I labeled it like that because I want you to see how it's going to look. It's always going to look like this. Okay, so if you finish all of them, then that can be a conversation with your teacher. Maybe your teacher's told you what to do. That's what I'll be doing in my class. So make sure that you are working on each rotation part, and not everyone can go into part 2 after this. Some of you are going to have to choose other activities to do. So this is what our rotations will look like. And now that you kind of know, you are ready to start Hot Topics. You're going to crush it, and you are awesome.